welcome. We are here live with our daily learning in the book of Proverbs. We're actually very close to the end of the book of Proverbs. We are in chapter 30, verse 18. Some very beautiful metaphors. So thank you for joining us. We are here, verse 18. King Solomon says, "Shlosha hema nifleu mimeni ve'arba'a lo yadatim." There are three things that are absolutely beyond my understanding, and there's an additional one that I will never be able to contemplate. One, King Solomon says, "Derech hanesher b'shamayim," the path of an eagle in the sky. That is something you will never be able to detect. I mean, I guess today with a satellite, you may be able to do it, but the path of an eagle in the sky is something that is absolutely not possible to, you'll never be able to track. They don't leave after them any traces, right? The eagle is flying in the sky. He doesn't really leave any traces. Derech nachash alei tzur, a snake crawling on a big rock. If a snake climbs on a rock, you will not be able to tell where it is. You won't be able to tell where it goes. And derech onia belev yam, the way of a ship in the ocean. Also, a ship in the ocean goes, you can't really track it in any direction. And derech gever balma. And then comes the very unfortunate one, and that is the way of someone who is committing an act of infidelity. That also often is covered up with no evidence. Then verse 20, King Solomon says, "Ken derech isha menaefet achla u'machta pia ve'amra lo pa'alti aven." And sometimes someone who is being unfaithful and commits adultery also leaves no traces. So King Solomon says, just like I cannot tell the path of the eagle, just like I cannot tell the path of the snake on the rock, and just like I can't tell the path of the ship in the ocean, so too you cannot know the path of the sinner. Sometimes they destroy all evidence. Verse 21, "Tachat shalosh ragza eretz v'tachat arba lo tuchal set." There are three things that will completely unravel a country and make it completely incomprehensible to understand how things are possible this way. And the fourth is the most mind-boggling. First is verse 22, "Eved ki imloch." If a slave becomes a king, that is something that is very hard to understand. And next is "V'derech naval ki yisba lechem." And when a person who is very not nice, a person who's not working honestly, a person who's dishonest, that person becomes rich, that's also incomprehensible. So just like when a king when a slave becomes a king, or just like when a person who's very dishonest and not doing good things becomes rich, that's also something that sort of blows your mind and makes no sense. Next is verse 23. We have company here today. Verse 23 is "Tachat snua ki tibael v'shivcha ki tirash gvirta." When the woman who's not the wife ends up being the wife, then that's also something that is incomprehensible. And v'shivcha ki tirash gvirta, if the maid becomes the queen instead of the queen herself, all those are things that sort of defy logic. Next is actually a really beautiful, very cute verse. "Arba'im k'tanei eretz." There are four creatures that are very small. V'hem hachachamim mechukamim. Not only are they smart, they're extremely smart. Who are the smartest creatures? The small creatures. And this is a very famous verse. "Hanemalim am lo'az." The ants are a very non-violent, not strong, not muscular nation, so to speak. Yet they all are able to coordinate this incredible feat of having all of their food for the winter prepared in the summer. So the ants are an example that no other animal really has, where you have this incredible cooperation, this incredible coordination between so many creatures, and they prepare all their bread and all their food in the summer together. Next, verse 26, Shvanim am lo atzum. The rabbits and I think they call them hares, are the hares are a small, weak nation. And where do they live? They live in the cliffs. You ever see in National Geographic video or something like that, where there's all these creatures that live in the cliffs, sometimes in the most sharp cliffs, these huge stones that weigh thousands of tons, and you find all kinds of creatures that live there. So too, that's also something very smart. And next is the locust. Melech en la arbe vayetze chotzetz kulo. The locust does not have a king, unlike the ants, by the way, who do have a queen. The locust has an entire nation that if they go on offense, they can literally destroy an entire country. The locust can eat, the famous in the Exodus, the locust in Egypt. But if you can see videos now on YouTube, you go see locusts in the Middle East. They'll take over a country. They'll eat all the trees, all the crops, and all that without a king. Next is a spider. Shmamit beyadayim tetapes v'hi be'echlei melech. A spider, all it uses is its hands to climb, and the spider is in the royal palace. So the King Solomon really notes here different creatures and what we have to learn from them, and the irony in there, the sort of the world irony. You have the ant, which is a very not strong animal, and yet they unite together as a nation, and they prepare food for the entire winter. You have the rabbits and the little hares that live in the cliffs, and they live in the most powerful fortress in the world. And then you have the locust, which it doesn't have a king, and yet it is the most powerful army that can decimate an entire country. You have a spider that is a very modest little creature, and it can live in the palace of the king. So all those are ironies, but there are also lessons on how humans should be working together. If all these animals can accomplish all this together, we surely should be able to coordinate things together. Next, King Solomon speaks about mammals. Verse 29, there are three who step very well, and there are three that step well and four that really walk amazingly. First is a lion. A lion is the strongest of animals, and it does not stop. There's no animal that scares it off. Zarzir motnaim. Now there are different commentaries on what creature it is, but one of the commentaries say it's a hound, a kind of a dog that goes hunting. Zarzir motnaim otaish, either a hound or a goat. Both of them walk very strong. You ever see a mountain goat or a hound? They both, that's why the bus is called Greyhound, because they go very fast and very consistently. And the fourth is Melech al-Kum. It is translated as Rashi says he doesn't know what it is, and I do not see any commentary that knows what a Melech al-Kum means, but it's a sort of a king among the animals. Let me see. No, Melech al-Kum, no. So I'm not sure. Rashi says he's not sure what it is. So if it's good enough for Rashi, it's good enough for me. Next, verse 32. Im navalta beitnase ve'im zamota yad lape. If you have fallen down harshly, King Solomon says, so then you should make sure you wait until you raise yourself. If someone insults you, don't think you'll regain your honor by insulting them back. Wait until you rise again. Next, verse 33. Milk is what ultimately produces butter, Umitzaf yotzi dam, and anger is what produces blood. Umitzapayim yotzi riv, and the intense sort of discussion that is done with anger brings about a fight. That is chapter 30, and God willing, tomorrow we have one more. Oh, sorry, next week we're starting again Sunday. We have one more chapter, and that is the chapter of Eshet Chayil, the woman of valor. So please be with us for the final stretch, the last chapter of the book of Mishlei. I appreciate you. If you have any thoughts, comments, feedback, ideas, what you would like to do after we're done with Mishlei.